Ho ho ho! Welcome back, movie fans, to another Holiday Victories, where we're seeing who can win the war on Christmas. I'm your host, Matt Presents, and I'm joined as always by my holly jolly co-host.
Hello, my name is Kirk Cameron. I'm here to keep Christ in the podcast. Christ wants you to spend lots of money. Please do it.
It's a very Christian holiday match. It is holiday. It's Christmas and New Year's. Although they have a Christmas tree up in the other one. It's two Christian films that for a brief time were the two lowest rated movies on Letterboxd. Now they changed how their scores are weighted, so that's not true anymore, but for a time they were the two lowest rated movies on Letterboxd. It's Kirk Cameron's Saving Christmas versus 2025 The World Enslaved by Virus. I believe now the lowest rated movie is Dragon Ball Evolution, which is kind of funny because we said that was the better movie in its episode. We thought it was better than Last Airbender, which incidentally is the fourth lowest rated movie, so they are pretty close.
Right. Evolution, I think, just, really stabbed a lot of fans in the heart.
I get
but
that.
I think it's objectively more entertaining than Last Airbender. Such a boring movie. How could you tolerate that?
Yeah, Last Airbender is just an empty, hollow version of something that there's already a good version of. Where Dragon Ball Evolution is at least so far off base, it's kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
But we talked about the for a whole episode. Let's talk about Kirk Cameron Saving Christmas. How about?
Sounds good. Kirk Cameron Saving Christmas was released on November 14th, 2014, and was directed by Darren Doan. I think I'm saying that right. That's actually the guy who played Doan. I don't know. Probably Doan. He also plays, recognize him. He plays the brother-in-law in this movie, so casted himself in a pretty lengthy role.
Whose name is Christian White.
Christian White. The movie follows Kirk Cameron's brother-in-law losing... it's actually kind of a unique message I've seen in a Christian movie, where the message is more so about, it's actually criticizing other Christians who say that the way people celebrate Christmas is very hollow and how it's not actually about Christ, but it's about it's about possessions, it's about Santa and all that. And that's what our main guy, not counting him as the main guy, not Kirk Cameron. He's that's his dilemma in this movie. But then Kirk Cameron comes in and tells him, no, it is all about all that stuff. It's kind of. Yeah, I've never seen that done in one of these Christian films before, where it's taking a very defensive stance about the fun part of Christianity. And it's the whole point of the movie is almost just to say, lighten the fuck up, bud.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's what I think is so weird about this one. Sorry, did you have more to say?
Oh, no, I was going to say, yeah, it's just Kirk Cameron going through different stories, explaining why the nativity scene is so important, which, seems like that seems like a given, but then it also goes into Santa Claus and the Christmas tree and all of that. And this guy's just really easy to persuade. With after 5 minutes of talking to Kirk Cameron, he changes his opinion on every single point he brings up. I feel like you could easily get someone of the opposite way in the car with him and switch him back within an hour. But yeah, Matt, what did you think about Kirk Cameron Saving Christmas? Which it's weird because sometimes it shows up as Kirk Cameron's Saving Christmas and other times just Saving Christmas.
Yeah, I think the initial release, they were very emphatically ooh, Kirk Cameron's Saving Christmas. And I don't know, so at some point they swapped it out for just Saving Christmas. They're ooh, keep it a little more low-key. It's not Kirk Cameron's anymore.
Maybe he wasn't the selling point they thought he was.
It's interesting because this movie almost marketed itself as a war on Christmas thing where ooh, we're gonna talk about all the secular people and what they're doing wrong, and it's no, this is a movie about Christians directed at Christians. It's I mean, it's almost like I mean I want to be clear. I don't think I can get behind the message necessarily. I mean, unless you do stretch it out to that broad point of like, hey, lighten up. Because like, yeah, okay, I agree, lighten up. But like, he looks at like the consumerist nature of the way we celebrate Christmas in America, and he's like, hold on. Let me explain why this is all totally Christian and God is okay with all of this.
Here's the thing. I don't think that, like, I think the message of the movie is just kind of weird because I don't think that, like, this was severe enough to where there needed to be this wasn't a severe enough issue to where there needed to be a movie about it. Like, yeah, some people aren't, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with someone becoming less enthusiastic about the holidays as they get older, or just having a year where they're feeling a little bit down. You don't always have to be excited for it. There's times in your life where you're going to be more excited about it than others. And if someone's going through something during the holidays, like, you can, I'm not saying ignore them. I'm not saying just let it be, but I'm also saying, like, if they're not like fully in the spirit, you don't have to try to demand that they get in the spirit and shame them for not being in the spirit.
Yeah.
Especially because this guy it's not like this guy has kids and he's screwing it up for them, you know? It's just like, I guess you could argue he's doing that for his wife, but it's just like, I don't know. I don't really, I don't think there's anything super harmful in the message of this movie, where it's just kind of like, oh, it's okay to enjoy these it's okay that there are fun things about Christmas. It is okay, but it's just like, it comes off as so defensive and weird and kind of like, are there really that many people like in your little, I don't want to call them Christianity a little group, but there are that many Christians that you're interacting with on a daily basis, Kirk, that are like just really shaming the holidays and really shaming you for doing it. Like, I feel like it just comes off as an insecure movie to me.
Yeah, and it feels very, I don't know what the word I'm looking for here is. Incurious, maybe? Like, it's just kind of like, no, the way we do things is fine. Like, I like, it feels like Kirk doesn't even stop and, like, consider his brother-in-law's side of things.
Yeah.
And I do kind of see both angles here. I do think these are both, like, reasonable enough positions to have. I certainly think Kirk Cameron has the less reasonable position, despite being posed as the, like, smart guy who's gonna come in and defend. Because some of these are really weak, you know? Like, some of them, it's like, okay, yeah, that's a totally fair point to make. But then, like when he's talking about Santa, and it's like, Santa's an important part of the Christian church. He was a deeply Christian man. We can, like, be cool about Santa. Santa is not the problem here. But also, then he's like, Christmas trees, they're like, you know, the tree in the Garden of Eden, or the cross. And it's like,
I don't think anyone was ever making that comparison. I don't think that's a real, I looked into the movie a little bit, and there was like, there was like I forget the name of the show, but there was like a show where they were literally like just someone on there fact checking every single thing he said in that movie. Because he just made, I guess he just made a bunch of shit up for some of it. But like I think my biggest gripe with like Kirk Cameron's side of things in this, because again, I don't think there's anything wrong with like wanting to enjoy like both the religious side of the holiday and the fun side of the holiday. I don't think that's a horrible thing to say, but I do think it's pretty bad when this guy is like actually bringing up decent points in his argument, like talking about how much of like the money that we spend on this could go towards this. I think that's like not just a good Christian thought to have, it's a very good like humane thought to have. Like, yeah, are we spending money on stuff we don't need? Are we spending? And I don't think it's like, it's complicated because it's something that like most of us are very guilty of, right? It's something that everybody spends money on shit they don't need. But I think it's okay to acknowledge that while also saying like there's a better way you could address that. You could, at the very least, Kirk Cameron could have addressed those concerns, but none of his stories answer those concerns. None of his stories like there's a lot of what he said that gets completely ignored and he forgets about it and that's why it's like, it's so I know it's silly to complain about this movie being unrealistic, because of course it fucking is, but it's to me it's just like really silly that he changed his mind so quickly, because I've had so many conversations with people as I've gotten older where I tried to persuade them about something. It is not that fucking it is never that fucking easy.
Yeah, and I think we're maybe almost giving Kirk Cameron too much credit, because if he had just said, like, hey, you bring up some good points, but, like, it's Christmas, we can enjoy, like, the fun side of the holiday and also, like, appreciate the religious side, too. If he had just said that, I don't think we'd be here. That's not what he did. He came up with, like, random bullshit for every single thing his brother brought up. I want you to think of the Nutcrackers as Herod's soldiers coming to kill all the children.
You can also say, hey, you know what? You make a compelling argument. How about we go, there's a soup kitchen. Let's go work there tomorrow. Like just something like that. Just like,
all right, put your money where your mouth is, man. Come on.
Yeah, like you're feeling bad about this. Okay, let's do what we are capable of doing. Like that's.
I mean, and I feel like there's a lot of Christmas movies that are like that, where they're like at the end they're like, hey, yeah, let's go help some people. Like, let's actually do something with Christmas, and they don't do that in this movie. He just comes back in and like enjoys the party he was not enjoying before, and then there's like a like 10-minute dance number.
Right.
It goes on so long. That's like, because we were watching through that, and we're getting, like, Kirk Cameron is wrapping up his arguments, and the brother-in-law's convinced, and I'm like, there's still 20 minutes left in this movie. Like, how are we already at the end of this? Like,
because it's the master of stretching shit out.
We're talking about, like, the meat of the movie, but there's so much other shit in there, too.
So fucking bizarre. I will say, now that we've like said all of this, because I do think it's worth pointing this up at least once by this point in the show, I do think we were both very amused by this movie. I think we did both very much enjoy this movie.
Oh yeah, no, it's funny. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it's like, it's interesting to talk about what the point is, because it just it just seems like such a, I'll reference the show here, it just seems like such a hollow argument he's trying to make. And this, but on top of all of it is just this really weird and quirky and silly movie that's like doesn't often seem aware of how silly it's being. And yeah, I got quite a few laughs out of this. I was pretty entertained by it the whole time. I am laughing at it. It is a so bad it's good type of enjoyment. I don't think any of the laughs it gets, at least not a lot of them, are like laughs that I was supposed to get. But maybe one or two of them were, though. I mean, the movie does try to be funny too. But I found it entertaining. I did find it to be an entertaining one.
Yeah, and I mean, I think there are some things in there that I kind of enjoy, even just apart from laughing at it. Mm-hmm. I think there's the really weird scene with the other, like, the two friends who, like, hold the mugs over their mouths and get 80 hard. And it feels like they're making fun of, like, War on Christmas type Christians in that. Which is, like, the people they were advertising to. They very much advertised this as a War on Christmas movie. And I think a lot of people just didn't watch it and assumed that's what it was. And it's like making fun of that even.
Right.
I also don't understand why they put the mugs over their mouths and 80 it in later. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. That scene was nonsense. I have no idea why they did anything the way they did it during that scene. Like everything else in this movie, as bad as it can be, I get what they were doing. They were making a movie in the most simplistic way they possibly could, where they were literally just doing stock footage shots for a ton of it. Stock footage I believe they took themselves, but it's just these really generic shots that they stay on for a really long time. Like, the editing of this movie is like the most amateur thing I've ever seen, but it's also like, I don't even know if I can call it poorly. It's poorly edited, but I don't even know if it's poorly edited because of a bad editor, but more so just there was nothing to edit. They gave them so little to work with to make this movie. Shots are stayed on for a ridiculous amount of time in it.
And then they have, like, the St. Nicholas sequence, which they introduce as, like, ooh, what if we made it more Lord of the Rings? But then the editing feels a little more in line with, like, the 300 style.
Yeah.
And even then, it's doing that poorly.
That scene was, very goofy. That was
the best looking scene in the movie.
Probably my favorite scene in the movie. It was funny, too.
It was
because I felt like I felt like with the way that they set up Saint Nick, it was going to be funny either way. Either he was going to go up and preach to this guy, and that was going to be like how they're building him up as like this badass, even though he was going to do nothing, and that was going to make me laugh. Or he was actually going to beat the shit out of this guy, and that was going to make me laugh because of how out of place it seemed with the rest of the tone of the film. And then they kind of do both. They kind of do both. He goes up there and says his prayer and talks to him and doesn't say much, and they pause for a second so you think that's it, but then he beats the shit out of him.
And then Christian's like, Santa was the man.
I swear to God, the scene at the end where he re-enters his house, you could play like serial killer music over it. The way that he is looking at everything and how long it takes. That scene goes on forever before he does like the little dive on his belly. He's just staring at everyone for an exceptionally long amount of time without anyone saying anything. So unsettling.
Yeah, no, it's just like there like at the core of this movie is this like argument in a car with a lot of B-roll and like this weird like action Saint Nicholas scene interlude, and that's like maybe 45 minutes of the movie, and then smothering that is just absolute nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fun time.
So yeah, no, it was. It's also really short. It doesn't go on long.
Oh yeah. It knows what it needs to be. There's not much of a cast to this one. We do have to mention return appearance of Kirk Cameron.
Of course. Darren Doan is I think him and Kirk Cameron are very entertaining and amusing to watch in this, so
yeah.
They carry the movie well. Bridget Cameron is really the only other, and Ben Keats as Saint Nick. Those are like really the only other two people I could even like think to mention. And I mean, I guess Saint Nick leaves quite the impression. He has like, in my opinion, the best scene of the movie. But then Bridget Cameron, I don't know. I mean, it's just kind of there. I feel like it's just that for like the family feel, you know?
Yeah. Well, they got David Shannon as DeAndre, the cool black dude at the party.
Oh, that's right.
And he's like, oh yeah, I got some music for you, Christian. How about some Family Force 5? Because he's the DJ.
Right.
And then there's the other dude who looks like the Cat Whisperer, but is not the Cat Whisperer.
Yeah. The ending of that movie, I think, was the corniest thing we've ever seen on Hall of Victories. It's that or Marmaduke's end and dance scene. Just really lame. Just really, really lame.
Marmaduke's is shorter though. Like it's less load bearing.
This one goes on for a long time, and they're not showing anything impressive. The few dancers they have out in the space, one, none of them are main characters. Our main characters only come in occasionally, and two, they're not even in sync with each other. Like, it's not a well choreographed dance. It's like, but like, and it's like, oh, if it was just like this quirky little thing, haha, they're not really good dancers, but they're family and they're having fun. It's like, okay, cool. You don't need to stand on this for like 6 minutes though.
Yeah, like if you took that dance scene out of Marmaduke, the movie would be basically the same. If you take the dance scene out of this movie, you don't have a full length, you don't have a feature. You're not making feature length without that.
Yeah. This movie was very desperate to expand its runtime just in like the regular scenes of them sitting in the car too. I mean, most of the dialogue, it felt like stuff that he actually wanted to say, but they just didn't have a lot of visuals to match that dialogue. At times it was even kind of confusing what he was talking about, because when he starts talking about the tree lot, when he's trying to like, make the comparisons with the Christmas tree, they start showing the tree lot before he even starts mentioning the tree lot. Like the scene, his narration is beginning, so they're showing the setting of where the scene is going to take place as he's telling a story, but the story hasn't built up to that yet, so it's weird that they're just already on it, But again, in the editor's defense, I'm sure they had like nothing to put there other than Kirk Cameron and Christian sitting in the car together.
Oh yeah, I mean, I even pointed out during the opening credits they have this animation that I I think I heard somewhere that it's from something else, and they had permission to reuse it, but
Uh-huh.
it was not made for this movie. But even in that, you can tell that, like, at a point, they start reusing clips they have already shown in the opening credits.
It reminds me of what I did when I was, like, making movies as a 10-year-old, you know? Like, I would film stuff and realize I didn't film enough for the scene I wanted, so I would start replaying clips. Like, that's like a learning level amateur move, you know?
Yeah.
That's an entry point amateur move.
Something I think kinda gives away that the animation isn't for this movie is it seems like that animation is addressing a lot of, like, common debunkings of like, Christmas mythology. Like, they have the three wise men, but then all of a sudden a bunch more show up because the Bible doesn't say it was three of them. They just said there were three gifts. Or changing the place they're staying in from a manger to a cave, from like a shack to a cave, which would be a more accurate depiction of where Jesus would have been born and stuff like that. None of which is really addressed in the movie. So it's like, yeah, I kind of get the sense this is from something else.
Right.
I don't know. Do you have much else to say about this movie? It's a
Not
short
really.
movie, so... And there's not much to it.
No, yeah, it was pretty entertaining. I don't have like anything extremely against the message, but I don't think it was a necessary message for a movie about Christmas, because I feel like most people who celebrate the holiday do celebrate the fun side of it too. It just feels weirdly like it feels like Kirk Cameron heard like one or two people say something that bothered him. So he did what most angry Twitter users do and made a vent piece that wasn't really that necessary and that addressed a very few people, but he is acting like it's a bigger number of people than it really is.
And that's what Christianity's all about.
So yeah, I can like nothing too outrageous in the movie, but also just like, dude, why? And also, I will stand by the fact if someone isn't like that into the holidays one year, they're not evil, they're not a bad person. It's okay to not be fully in it one year. If people need a break from all of that shit, it's constantly shoved in your face. I get it. It's okay. If you have kids, try to make it good for them still, but
I think there's a charitable interpretation of this film, and I think you could very easily point to all the ways this message could be seen negatively.
Mm-hmm. I think the main way it would be seen negatively is just people saying like, oh, it's just like him saying, no, give all of your money, like spend all of your, like, it's just a movie that's like begging you to spend money on products. And it's like, okay, that is kind of a shallow message to have. That is kind of
it's a pretty bluntly pro-capitalist movie.
Right. So yeah, no, I agree with that. I'm probably being too charitable with it, because honestly, God, that is like, it is kind of blatantly doing it.
I also think there are things worth... He says some worthwhile things in there, but broadly the message is very for the status quo. It's very, don't question things, just take it, just accept it.
Right. Yeah, that's all I really got. It's entertaining, but it's pointless.
Also, he is addressing, like, a real problem in Christianity, I think, so... A minor one, perhaps, but something that does exist.
It is interesting to see a Christianity movie that mainly criticizes other Christians. I'm not saying it does it well, but it is interesting to see that. That is I don't think that's something I've ever seen before. I'm sure there's other movies that do it. I just don't know if I've seen them. Because normally if it's a Christian movie criticizing Christians, it's like, oh, Christians that have lost faith. That's the Christians they're criticizing, so they're not really Christians anymore.
You should watch First Reformed.
I've wanted to for a long time. I probably will soon.
It feels very directed at Christians.
Mm-hmm. Is it from a Christian perspective, though? That's the
difference. From a Christian perspective, it's sort of...
Because plenty of movies criticize Christianity.
Unlike this film, a much more progressive Christian perspective. It's like, hey, Christians, what are we gonna do about fucking climate change?
Uh-huh. Okay.
Let's talk about 2025 World Enslaved by Virus.
Yep.
I always shorten the title. It's 2025: The World Enslaved by a Virus.
Shit
I don't
title.
know why I don't know why I sometimes shorten it. Yeah, this is a film from 2021 about the distant future of 2025, where the hysteria from the COVID pandemic has created worldwide communism. Christianity is banned, meetings are banned, anything from the old world is banned. This all happened rapidly in 3 years. The major religion of the world has been suppressed in 3 years' time, and or 4 years, I guess. 4 years, 2021, 2025, 4 years. 4 years this has happened. We follow a main character, Roy, who is he runs a secret underground Christian organization, and they're out looking for other secret underground Christians, but meanwhile, like, the government is tracking him and they're honing in on him, and he keeps escaping because, like, even when some of, like, his comrades get arrested, I guess not his comrades, we're anti-communist in this one, his fellow Christians, his brothers and sisters in Christ, get arrested. They're like, you run, you get out of here, we need you. And then in the end he just gets caught, and that's kind of where the movie ends. What'd you think, Michael?
I think that this one's a bad one. I don't really. It's such a stupid and bizarre movie that, like, I don't. I think it's kind of a movie that's trying to be used as a scare tactic on a lot of people. It very much feels like something that was made during, like, COVID time, when the lockdowns were going, when the lockdown was happening, because it's just an incredibly stupid film, and I don't think it even successfully manipulated anyone, because no one liked it. It was, you said, like, the lowest rated movie for the longest, well, not even that long of a time, I guess. It hasn't been out that long, but yeah, I thought it was terrible. The most enjoyment I got out of it was laughing at the extremely awkward performances in this, where they all just, like, no matter what they were talking about, no matter what the circumstances were, had the exact same tone, and that made me laugh hysterically at times, because there's times where it's like, oh yeah, the police probably just saw us spraying those fishes, so we're probably all over the place now. Yeah, I bet I can't even go home now. I'm gonna have to live here now. Yeah, if we go outside, we might be arrested and killed. It's like, it's just so casual. And they, like, clearly didn't have a script. The person who directed this was given them notes on what kind of conversation to have in a scene, and just let them go at it. And as a result, it's pure awkwardness. I've seen some filmmakers, like today, it's a newer thing, where they intentionally have people do this because of how funny it is to hear awkward dialogue like that. It can be really funny. This is a movie that's doing it completely unironically, and it is funny. I will say, I don't think it didn't maintain my interest throughout the whole movie. I think halfway through I was ready for it to end, and it really dragged near the end. There's scenes where they're doing entire prayers that go on for like 5 minutes. I think that it's not the worst thing we've covered on the show, because there's at least a so bad it's good factor to some of it, but I do not think the entire movie carries that.
I'm with you. I think probably the first half of the movie is pretty funny, and then you get really bogged down in like when they're setting stuff up. It's all so hilarious how it all goes down, but like, there's no action in this movie. Nothing happens in this movie.
There are scenes where they're trying to, like, show something pretty advanced and hardcore, and it's like almost as if it's a fucking parody, but you know it's not self-aware. Whereas there's this hacker character, and her hacking involves doing very mundane things on a computer, like opening a Word document and copy and pasting something. Like, it is, but they're still playing this dramatic music, they're still getting these angles. It's something that you would see in fucking Hot Fuzz, when it's like dramatic shots of him signing paperwork, you know, but it's not self-aware, it's not a comedy, it's very sincere.
It opens on a car chase where they can't be doing more than like 40 or 50.
They're going so slowly. They couldn't even, like, all you have to do to fake a car scene is, like, a chase scene is, like, get a bunch of close-ups, you know, like, it's easy to hide that shit.
Yeah.
It was just fucking ridiculous. But no, show us an aerial perspective where we can see exactly how slow you're driving. I'm surprised they didn't try to speed up the footage of how corny the editing in this movie is. They were willing to put fucking police flashing lights on the screen without them actually connecting to anything. Oh my god, it was just like, it's, oh my god.
There was also the police who was clearly wearing like a real police vest, but they put black duct tape over what city they were in, so it just said police.
And they like, no, that's why I'm surprised they didn't just speed up the footage with the cars. There is no attempt to hide the mistakes in this movie. There is zero attempt at doing that.
And I mean, like, that's fun though. That's the stuff I like about this movie.
Oh yeah, I agree. I mean, I think stuff like that is funny. It's just like, and that's the stuff I have stuff to say about. You know, the second half of this movie, I was just bored out of my mind. You know.
Yeah, I also, they give us a lot of like just the world they have set up is ridiculous. Like, this is why you don't set your dystopian movie 4 years in the future. Like, no. If you tried to outlaw Christianity, the Christians would be very upset. Not only that, you'd get a lot of people who aren't Christian who would be opposed to that.
Oh yeah.
So, like, you're gonna get a lot of... There is no way you are going to ban Christianity in the next 4 years. And I mean, here we are. We're... Like, the reason we're doing this month is we are on the eve of 2025.
Yeah.
So, like, haha, we're doing 2025 right before the start of 2025. And obviously this has not happened.
The events of this movie, like, how it got that bad, it happened within, like, 2 weeks. You know, that's what they're actually saying. Christianity was wiped out in 2 weeks.
This is exactly what's gonna happen when Trump takes office.
Are the Christians really going to be his first target?
Yeah, no. He's been playing them this whole time.
God damn.
He's actually a secret communist. Who's gonna use the still ongoing coronavirus pandemic to take away all our rights.
Oh,
that's the really ridiculous part, is like the pandemic's over. The pandemic's been over. Like,
yeah. I mean, it came out in 2021. He was probably writing the script as it was happening.
Yeah.
I say he. I don't actually know who made this fucking thing, but I assume it's a guy.
No, it was two brothers. The Wesley brothers.
The Wesley brothers. Oh, Joshua Wesley might have been one of the main guys.
Yeah, the main character is Joshua Wesley. He wrote and directed this as well.
Oh, and Simon Wesley. Yeah, those two are like... Simon Wesley might be the actual lead.
Simon is in the movie. I don't think he's the lead.
I don't know which one is which, honestly. And Google might be confused too, so I don't know.
I'm pretty confident Joshua is the main character.
Okay.
I
believe you.
Is another character. But yeah, I mean, it's fear-mongering about the pandemic, which gave this a very short shelf life. So it's kind of even funnier now. Like, I mean, at the time, we all knew this was, like, bullshit. We all knew, we were all pointing and laughing at this, calling this, like, blatant fear-mongering about the pandemic. And now the pandemic's over, so it's like, yeah, everybody point and laugh at the pandemic movie. At the guys who thought this was gonna destroy America, destroy all of our freedoms and our rights. They've done it. They've taken they've banned Christianity because of the coronavirus. They did it. Like, what do you even say?
Right. It's like, I'd be more angry at the movie for the shit it's trying to say if it wasn't for the fact that, like, you know, everybody universally pretty much agreed this is a piece of shit. Like, it doesn't seem like this is a movie that has, like, a small crowd of people saying, no, it's actually making a good point. No, it actually has something to say. No, it's fucking bullshit, and everyone knows it's bullshit. It got exactly the response it deserved to get, and that's the end of it.
The funny thing is, it's barely about the pandemic even. Like,
yeah.
They don't talk about mask mandates, they don't talk about the vaccine at all.
It's still that mindset, though. It feels like it's still very much that mindset of, like, oh, you're letting them control us. Oh, you're letting, like, this is what's gonna happen if you do it. Like, it's the type of rant that someone who is against wearing a mask would make, you know?
Yeah, but it also feels like they already had a script for, like, ooh, here's our dystopian movie where Christianity is banned, and
That's
then, you
possible.
know, oh, here comes the pandemic, and oh well, yeah, it was the pandemic. The pandemic caused this. They still should have said it further in the future.
Oh, for sure. Oh my god, that's a problem that a lot of movies face where they don't jump far enough ahead.
There's a scene in this movie where he's like ranting to this police officer about like all the freedoms they've taken away, and it's like, yeah, man, that was 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I remember that. I was there.
No, it's oh, it reminds me of it reminds me of this funny bit in fucking Billy and Mandy. I think it was their movie actually, where there's like a Billy that comes from the future saying like, but he's like, I'm exactly from 2 weeks in the future, but everything's different. And he's like just building up as like the previous, like the last 2 weeks is like such a distant future now. Like that's something that people do as a joke and stuff, where this one is like, yeah, no, in 4 years the world is definitely going to be altered this much.
And again, they barely address the pandemic in this. Like
Yeah.
it gets a little bit of lip service. It's in the title. He's holding a mask in the poster.
That made me think this was going to be a big anti-mask movie. Like I was talking to Chris right before I was going to join the call to watch this with you, and Chris was like, "Oh, what are you guys watching?" It's something, I think it's like some anti-masker movie. And then Chris did not sound interested in watching. But they don't really like say anything about the mask really, or if they did, it was brief and I missed it. It's not especially keeping my interest
I
with
think
this movie.
they have a villain who wears a mask, and that's how you know they're the bad guy, because they're wearing the mask.
The good guys wear a mask in a few scenes though. It's when they're outside.
Yeah, to like cover.
I mean,
their
they take
face
and they take them off. It's weird.
there is the excellent joke where he's like, "Hey, you know what the pandemic did to Jesus? Nothing."
Yeah. Oh man,
I'm leaving in that whole. I'm leaving in that whole break.
I'm just, this one wore me out. I like
I
end
get
like
you.
some we like. I feel dramatic saying that because it's like, oh, boo hoo, you had to watch a movie, how bad. But like, it's just like, if when something, I feel like when a movie loses me, like early on, I'm gonna be a lot more tired with it and like less enthusiastic about it. Where like at least with fucking Dragon Ball Evolution, I'll bring that one up again. Like a movie, just an example of a movie that I thought was shit start to finish. I wasn't like, I was still entertained by it, so it was at least like, okay, it was so bad it was funny, so I ended it like, that was shit, but I have stuff I can talk about with this one. It was like, you lost me like 40 minutes in, and now I am ready to not think about you again. Because that was just that was just,
I'll be honest, like on a both of these kind of hit weird on a rewatch. Saving Christmas, I think, is one of those films where you forget like how bad it is until you're watching it. I feel that way about The Room. Like, I have memories of The Room. I know how bad The Room is. But when you're actually there experiencing it, you're like, wow, I forgot how bad this movie is. 2025, on the other hand, I think the first time I watched it, there was a lot that I just kind of tuned out. I got bored with it and just kind of tuned it out. And I was rewatching it this time with you, and I'm like, God, I don't remember it dragging this much.
I remember the thing that you were watching on got like screwed up because we had to keep doing pause, like him resyncing because I had ads on mine, and whatever you were watching it on, like it got stuck at like your timer got stuck at like, it was like 28:05 or something like that, and we were like almost 50 minutes in the movie, and I requested another pause, told you where I'm like, said, wait, no, we're only like 20 minutes in, and it was like you were exactly where I was, but it was just because the timer was fucked up. And I remember just saying like, imagine if all of that was 20 minutes. Imagine if all of that was just 20, like how horrible that would have been. Like if I like felt like I was experiencing that long and I looked at the timer and it was 20 minutes in, I might have quit.
But I mean, the opening is fun. Like the problem with this movie is they have a setup for a dystopia and nothing else. They have no story. They're not going anywhere with it. They're just like, hey, this is what's gonna happen if we let them control us with this virus.
Right.
And there's no story. there's nothing happens. Like Saving Christmas, there was at least like there was like a debate between two people. There was a conversation happening. This movie, it's like, ooh, the government is gonna catch us. Ooh, we're finding more Christians. We're finding more Christians, guys. Oh, the government's gonna get us. Oh, here's some more Christians. Oh, the government's gonna get us. Oh yeah, we're gonna have one scene where the main character has a love interest, and he's gonna think about it at the end when he gets arrested. But that's it. That's all. That it's not gonna be anything more than that. Zero time or effort dedicated to this romance.
Do we want to? I mean, I don't know how much we could say about cast, and there's like maybe two notable names on this, and they're only notable as the people who made the movie. And then, and they all kind of gave the same performance in my eyes. Like they were all just very awkward and didn't really have that many like personality traits unique to them. They all just kind of, it was almost like a hive mind. These characters, like they all just thought and acted the same way.
Yeah, worth saying, the acting in this is awful.
It's terrible.
Really bad acting. But it is one of the funnier parts, like you said, watching them talk so like blandly and casually about living in a dystopia.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say that the performances were definitely the best part about the movie. It's not a good thing, but it was. I normally feel bad like shit talking a cast of a movie like that's like such clearly on such an independent level. I'm normally nicer, but it's just like, no, I can't with this one.
I mean, yeah, there is like a low budget charm to this movie that I kind of appreciate, but like you used it to do this. The reason it's low budget is because the things you're talking are some bullshit. No legitimate studio would pick this up. Not even like a smaller studio would pick this up. This is something you have to do on your own because it's bullshit.
Yeah.
The only thing I know about Joshua Wesley, apart from his work on this film, is that he was dating a 14-year-old when he was at least 18. He's really dodgy about what his age is, but he was at least 18 when he started dating a 14-year-old. Because he posted about her 18th birthday and has been like, oh, it's been a great 4 years. And it's like, don't post about your girlfriend's 18th birthday if you are in your 20s.
Yeah. That's not good. That's not good. Very weird. You're right. Very weird to be open about that. I don't like. It's kind of a way to immediately get people to despise you.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess he was oblivious enough not to know that, which is why he's the kind of person that would do that. Feel even less bad about shit talking this one now. Honestly.
He and his brother are German, and there's, like, some German actors in this, but mostly it's American actors, and Letterboxd says it's an American movie. I'm not sure, they're pretty unclear about which country this takes place in, so I'm not sure if this is supposed to be Germany or America in the film, because he, like, speaks German to a police officer at one point.
Yeah, I kind of assumed...
That's a weird thing.
Kind of assumed it was supposed to be German, but I'm not... But I mean, it is weird that they're speaking English throughout the whole thing. Then I don't know. I don't know. They don't really elaborate on that. They could have said that they were like foreigners who came to the U.S. or it does take place in Germany, but they don't really elaborate on that.
He has like this long, elaborate speech where he's talking about, oh, we used to like destroy tyrants, and I'm like, I'm not sure that Germans get to say that.
That's what the Druids did.
That's a line from Saving Christmas.
Yep.
The brother-in-law, Christian, responds to something with like, that's what the Druids did, and I'm like, I'm just gonna start saying that to people. You're clearly not interested in talking about this movie anymore. I don't think I have anything else to say.
I'm so sorry. I definitely clocked out of this one. I do feel bad, but I'm just like, what is there for me to say about it? It's just, It was one of the worst experiences I think I've had on the show.
Yeah, I mean, what's bad about it is pretty transparently bad. You don't really have to, like, explain it.
Yeah. There was a part of me, obviously, after watching Saving Christmas, that this one, like, I could, like, hold up in the same ironic way, but no. I mean, some of these I like making my vote more realized by the end of it, but where this one, it's like, for the last 20 minutes, anyone has known which one I'm voting for in this episode, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, I just really, like, there was some of that ironic enjoyment for the first half, as I've already stated too many times, probably, but it just did not last at all.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, Saving Christmas manages to, like, stay funny through most of it. It definitely has some low moments, but it stays pretty consistently bizarre. Where 2025, it's funny. It has its funny moments, but, like, at a point you're like, okay, wrap it up. Like, you've got nothing. Come on.
Yeah, like I like watching bad movies of certain family members. Like me and my cousin, we'll watch a lot of them, but this is not one I would pick. Saving Christmas, I might. It wouldn't be at the top of my list, but I might show him Saving Christmas. This one, nah.
No, I have a friend who's really into bad Christmas movies, and I've watched this with her.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen Saving Christmas like way too many times.
It's entertaining.
Like 4 times.
It's entertaining. It's a fun one.
I think I probably find it more entertaining than most people would. But yeah, no, it's a fun one.
Yeah, no, I was right there with you with that one. I assume that you find it more entertaining than I do, but I would watch it again, you know.
The audience is with us pretty heavily. 74% Saving Christmas, 26% 2025 World Enslaved by Virus.
You got your ass kicked, 2025.
Yeah, no. Saving Christmas wins. Alright. Well, next month, it is January, when no one is watching. So I get to pick some weird ass shit that only I care about. So we're gonna do sexy surrealist sci-fi.
Alright.
It's 1968's Barbarella versus 1974's Zardoz. This is where our poorly received stipulation comes in. I think there are a lot of people who would argue these are not bad movies. I might even argue these are not bad movies. They're interesting. Like, they're trying to be weird, and they kind of succeed at being weird.
Okay.
What's your familiarity with these?
First time I'm hearing of either of them, honestly.
Okay. Well, Zardoz is referenced in both Community and Rick and Morty. Dan Harmon is apparently a fan.
I did see your Abed video, so I definitely saw that then.
Yeah, there's a Rick and Morty episode that is a Zardoz parody. Starburns wears the costume Sean Connery wears in the Meow Meow Beans episode.
What episode of Rick and Morty does a parody of this one?
It's the one with Morty's son, where Morty has a son.
Oh, okay. Okay. I think
if you just look at the poster, you'll be like, oh, fuck, yeah.
And that's for, Zardoz?
Zardoz. Barbarella's, like, known, but it's kind of a cult classic.
Uh-huh.
I'm looking forward to this one. This is going to be a fun one. Like, I enjoy both of these movies a lot.
Sydney Sweeney to star in new Barbarella film. Fuck.
They're remaking it?
Let's see how old this article is.
Sometimes the trade papers just say that and then it never happens.
Yeah, this is from 2022.
Alright, well, until next time, I'm Matt Presents, and for my co-host Makal Shadackle, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year. See you in the next one.
Peace.